USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know, this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago.
We have the most amazing Turning Point USA family. They've rallied around myself, my children, and, you know, chosen family is everything. And then, of course, we're blessed with our family.
How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes.
You did such a beautiful job there.
My mom is Charlie and my mom. Well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected.
Let's talk about something that's been seriously bothering people lately, and not in a quiet way either. Erika Kirk keeps popping up in interviews, podcasts, and public events, and every single time she repeats the same line. She calls Turning Point USA her chosen family again and again, almost like it's scripted. The loyalty is loud, the message is clear, and she never misses a chance to center that connection. But viewers are starting to notice a pattern, and it's raising eyebrows fast. Because here's the question that keeps getting louder: where are Charlie's parents in all of this? Every time Erika speaks, the spotlight stays on her and TP USA, but Charlie's actual parents? No mention, no public acknowledgement.
What do you miss most? How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes.
You did such a beautiful job there. How are all of y'all doing? You talk a little bit about the kids, but how's your mom doing? I mean, I know she's devastated for you.
My mom is Charlie and my mom. Well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child. Oh. But the thing that was so special about our Sabbath dinners was that it wasn't about religious protocol.
No visible presence at all. And to many people watching this play out, that silence doesn't feel random. It feels intentional. It feels like something important is being carefully sidestepped. And it's not just online commentators picking up on that tension. Reports circulating suggest that Charlie's parents are feeling the weight of it too. Sources claim Catherine and Robert Kirk are allegedly deeply upset with how everything has been unfolding. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, their reaction doesn't seem shocking at all. This isn't just about phrasing anymore. It's about respect, visibility, and who gets recognized in the public narrative. The allegation being discussed online is that Erika and Turning Point USA may have financially gained traction after Charlie's passing. That's not a light claim, and it's exactly why so many people are watching closely. The numbers floating around are huge. Conversations online keep mentioning figures near $90 million, and Candace Owens has even suggested it could be higher. When numbers like that get attached to an emotional situation, people start asking real questions fast. Some reports claim TPUSA may have generated up to $140 million in just 3 months. 3 months. That timeline alone has people raising eyebrows. And here's where the spotlight gets even brighter. Who was leading the organization during that stretch? Erika. She was at the top.
Hey, check this out. Erika Francis, 2019, and Yair Netanyahu. Shabbat Shalom.
She's the CEO now. So whether supporters like it or critics question it, her name is directly connected to everything that happened in that window. Once finances enter the conversation, the tone shifts. It stops being just about feelings and becomes about structure, decisions, and accountability. Timing matters, leadership matters, transparency matters. And when answers don't come quickly, the internet fills in the blanks on its own. So as this conversation started gaining traction, people began digging deeper. Old interviews, old posts, old business details, not brand new bombshells exactly. More like information that had always been there but never fully examined. Things that once seemed minor now feel bigger under a different lens. And then there's what some online commentators call the honeypot theory. For years, that idea sounded fringe, almost like message board speculation.
My name is Joshua Peterson. I worked for Turning Point USA and Turning Point USA Faith, and I knew Charlie Kirk personally. I want to say on the record that there was a inner circle at Turning Point USA that was constantly working against Charlie and his interests and what he wanted to do, as well as there was a Jewish influence in Turning Point that he was not very fond of, that he wanted to get rid of. He tried doing this, he tried creating a Doge department, and he got... Another thing that makes me believe this inner circle was constantly working against Charlie was the stock market branch. Now, the thing about this branch is it's been getting millions of dollars poured into it over the past 4 years now, and that's been seen through their latest tax returns. This stock market group that Turning Point has been throwing millions of dollars into the stock market for the past 4 years now, and Charlie Kirk had no knowledge of that whatsoever. Make it make sense. That sounds like money laundering to me. It sounds like there's some pyramid scheme going on behind the scenes at Turning Point that Charlie did not know about originally.
But now, with large numbers and leadership timelines being discussed at the same time, people are revisiting it with fresh eyes. The tone has shifted and the scrutiny is real. Critics are now saying that with everything unfolding, that once dismissed theory doesn't sound so wild anymore. Not proven, not confirmed, but definitely not something people are laughing off like before. The tone online has shifted and the skepticism feels heavier. What used to be brushed aside as message board chatter is now being dissected in serious threads and long comment sections. But let's bring this back to Charlie's parents, because this is where things turn uncomfortable fast. Reports claim Erika has repeatedly kept her distance from them. At this point, some observers aren't calling it avoidance anymore. They're calling it outright disrespect. And while all that, tension is building in the background. What is Erika doing? She's everywhere. Promoting Charlie Kirk's new book non-stop. Interview after interview, appearance after appearance, a full media circuit with cameras flashing, and every time the spotlight stays locked on her and USA, the framing never really shifts. Pause on that for a second. Charlie's parents experienced the same heartbreaking loss, the same life-changing moment. So naturally, people are asking, where are the updates about them? How are they doing? What about Charlie's sister? For nearly 3 months, there's been silence surrounding their perspective. Meanwhile, the public storyline has centered almost entirely on Erika. That imbalance is exactly why the criticism is no longer staying quiet. Many viewers feel like the narrative is being reshaped in real time, and not everyone is comfortable with how that looks.
How you doing? How are the kids?
Doing the best you could expect. God is good, and we have the most amazing Turning Point USA family. They've rallied around myself, my children, and, chosen family is everything. And then, of course, we're blessed with our family itself. But
some even say it feels like the people who knew Charlie the longest are fading out of the frame. One moment that really intensified the conversation happened when Erika appeared on Fox and Friends. The host asked a direct question about Charlie's parents. They also asked about Erika's own mother. Viewers immediately zoomed in on how she responded, and the reaction online was instant. She barely acknowledged Charlie's parents. Then almost instantly, she pivoted the conversation straight to her own mom. It was quick, it was smooth, but it was obvious. Viewers caught it right away, and once they did, the comment sections exploded. Because when moments like that keep stacking up, people stop calling it coincidence and start calling it a pattern. She went on to say Charlie was her favorite child, and almost immediately after that emotional line, she shifted again. Suddenly, she was talking about Sabbath dinners at her mother's house, family traditions, cozy memories, warm stories. Critics didn't miss that transition for even a second. To many watching closely, it didn't feel random. It felt strategic, like the conversation was being carefully redirected away from Charlie's parents and into safer territory. And here's the detail that really stood out: the wording. She said my. She didn't say my in-laws. She didn't say Charlie's parents are doing the best they can. She didn't acknowledge how they might be coping at all. It was a complete gloss over. That choice of language left a strong impression with viewers. Some walked away thinking there's little to no communication happening behind the scenes. At the very least, it feels like there's distance.
Sorry, but that whole thing right there is frustrating. And I'm going to explain to you why I just do not accept any of that. First and foremost, the idea that she does not have time. Ow. Okay, to that point that people are making hundreds and thousands of dollars, I just don't get how there's not someone on this very large PR team, as we're seeing these PR campaigns go out, that doesn't go, hey, maybe we should strike that. They made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. Oh, and we've made more than, separately from Mar-a-Lago, Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. So since Charlie has died, that organization has taken in $140 million.
And she doesn't seem eager to explain it. When you line that up with earlier moments, the pattern feels even louder. Take the memorial service. Charlie's parents were not present, and this wasn't some small private gathering either. It was a large public event with dramatic production elements, including pyrotechnics. It had scale, it had spectacle. And during that same memorial, Erika made a move that genuinely shocked a lot of people watching closely. During her speech, she publicly forgave the alleged shooter. That alone shocked many people. But here's what stood out even more. She never mentioned Charlie's parents. Not once. Let that really sink in. She felt ready to publicly forgive the person accused of taking her husband's life. But what if Charlie's parents weren't on the same page? What if they weren't prepared to hear something like that announced on such a massive stage? That moment didn't just reflect her personal feelings, it carried weight for the whole family. And critics are saying that kind of statement impacts everyone connected to the situation, especially when it's made so quickly. At that time, there were still open questions surrounding the investigation. Official reviews were ongoing. Key details had not been fully clarified. Yet forgiveness was declared publicly only days after. Everything unfolded. For some observers, that timing felt incredibly fast. Online, one phrase keeps popping up. Something feels off. Not accusations, not conclusions, just discomfort. And then came the footage from the Medal of Freedom ceremony. If you've seen it, you already know why people are talking.
When you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
The optics were hard to ignore. Erika was standing noticeably far from Charlie's parents, not beside them, not even near them. Instead, she was positioned alongside political figures, and that visual sparked even more questions. Why wouldn't she stand with her in-laws during such a major moment honoring their son? In moments like that, body language speaks loudly. Placement matters. Presence matters. Silence can say more than a full speech. Charlie was married to Erika for a few years, but to his parents, he was their son his entire life. That contrast is exactly why emotions are running so high right now, and that distinction matters to a lot of people who are watching every move closely. Many believe the Medal of Freedom should have been presented directly to Charlie's parents, not Erika. That opinion didn't just appear out of thin air. It grew from a pattern people say they've been noticing for months. Because to critics, the sidelining doesn't stop at one event. It feels ongoing. Erika rarely mentions Charlie's parents unless she's directly asked about them. It's not something she brings up on her own. It's not something she highlights in speeches. And that absence keeps standing out more and more. She speaks highly about Charlie's legacy, his work, his influence, the reach he built. She praises the movement. She praises the mission. But many viewers notice she doesn't often acknowledge the people who raised him, the ones who shaped his values long before politics, platforms, and power entered the picture. Instead, she circles back to the same line repeatedly: TPUSA is my family now. And that's where things start getting even more complicated. Because alongside all this public tension, there are also allegations floating around about what may have been happening inside Turning Point USA before Charlie passed. According to claims circulating online, Charlie allegedly became aware of possible internal betrayal within the organization. Some reports say he ordered an internal audit after noticing red flags. Those same claims suggest he may have uncovered questionable financial activity. Adding to the conversation, a former TPUSA employee has reportedly stepped forward backing up concerns about internal issues. None of this has been officially confirmed in full detail. But when leadership questions, financial scrutiny, and family tension all intersect at once, people start connecting dots fast. And that's why the conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. Now the conversation gets even heavier. People are talking about alleged suspicious stock market activity. Some online voices are claiming that certain insiders may have been working against Charlie behind the scenes. These are still allegations, not confirmed facts, but once that kind of claim starts circulating, it grabs attention fast. And when you connect that to everything happening today, especially the financial discussions, the whole situation starts looking a lot more layered. Remember when Erika publicly criticized Candace Owens over her YouTube earnings? She called her out for making money online. That moment made headlines. But here's why critics are circling back to it now. At the same time, reports claim TPUSA may have generated up to $140 million in just 3 months. 3 months. That contrast is exactly why people are digging deeper. Because when money, loyalty, and silence all intersect at once, it stops feeling straightforward and starts feeling complicated. Some critics are openly calling it textbook hypocrisy. And Candace didn't stay silent either. She responded publicly. She brought receipts. She made a direct statement that landed hard. According to Candace, Turning Point USA financially benefited the most after Charlie's passing. Once that claim was said out loud, the internet lit up. Clips spread. Reactions poured in. The pressure intensified. Yet even with those accusations bouncing around, Erika keeps repeating the same line: TPUSA is my family, over and over again. And critics believe that wording carries weight. They argue it creates an emotional shield. Because if TPUSA is framed as family, then anyone questioning the organization risks looking cold or insensitive. That's how some observers see it, at least. And when language, timing, and large financial figures all blend together like this, the debate doesn't cool down. It heats up even more. Critics say the framing makes it look like anyone raising questions is attacking a grieving widow instead of asking legitimate concerns. And that's exactly what Candace Owens called out directly. She pointed to what she sees as a contradiction. On one hand, Erika publicly criticizes others for earning money through online platforms. On the other hand, USA is reportedly bringing in record-breaking revenue. That contrast is what pushed this conversation out of quiet corners and into full public debate. And then there's the Mar-a-Lago fundraiser. Erika hosted a private dinner event where tickets were reportedly priced at $10,000 per plate. $10,000! This happened during the same stretch of non-stop interviews and public appearances. The purpose? To raise even more funds for TPUSA. Naturally, people started asking why such aggressive fundraising was necessary if reports already claimed the organization had generated over $100 million in just a few months. What projects require that level of steady, high-volume cash flow? Glenn Beck attended the event and shared about it publicly. He said nearly 1,000 people showed up. He also mentioned that TPUSA has major plans lined up for 2026. On the surface, that sounds ambitious, but for critics, it also adds another layer of questions. Here's the detail that keeps getting brought up. Despite all the financial momentum being discussed, TPUSA's podcasts have reportedly fallen to number 94 on Apple Podcasts. Some observers are wondering, if digital influence appears to be dipping, why is fundraising accelerating at the same time? Is it preparation for expansion, strategic planning, or something else entirely? When financial growth, public positioning, and shifting media rankings all collide like this, the scrutiny naturally intensifies. And right now, people aren't just watching quietly, they're analyzing every move. And once again, the numbers just don't seem to line up. Not long ago, they were sitting comfortably in the top 10. Now they're sliding down the charts, fast. To many people watching this unfold in real time, it doesn't look like a slow shift. It feels sudden, it feels sharp. Some even say, it looks like public trust is dipping right in front of us. So let's zoom out for a second and really look at the bigger picture. Because the questions being asked now go way beyond grief or complicated family tension. Why is Erika pushing this narrative so strongly? Why does she appear so focused on shaping the public story instead of directly addressing the lingering questions surrounding the investigation? Is this truly about processing loss, or is it about influence, money, and long-term control? Those are the questions critics keep repeating. And remember those honeypot rumors we mentioned earlier? The same ones many people once dismissed? Some critics are now revisiting them with fresh eyes, not declaring them facts, not confirming anything, but re-examining them in light of everything else that's happened. Because when you line up the reported financial surge, the heavy fundraising push, the non-stop media appearances, the distance from Charlie's parents, and the shift in who gets centered in his legacy, it creates a picture that makes a lot of observers uneasy. Then you add in the defensive tone, the emotional framing, the pressure some feel when they even raise a question. That combination is why many are saying this doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel accidental. It feels structured. And when patterns repeat this clearly, people naturally start wondering what they might be missing. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this is about grief, about power, about money, or something completely different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this video made you stop and think, make sure to like it, share it with someone following this story, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. I'll see you in the next video.